In life, wherever there is gain, there is also loss. Nothing arrives alone. Joy does not come without the shadow of sorrow, and abundance does not exist without the possibility of emptiness. What we offer to the world does not always return to us at once, and sometimes what we give with a sincere heart seems to vanish into silence. Yet life has never been governed by human impatience. It moves according to laws older than desire, deeper than calculation, and wiser than our restless need for immediate reward. The future is always waiting ahead of us, not as a promise of ease, but as an invitation to continue. What matters is not whether the road is smooth, but whether we still have the courage to walk it. A person must learn to give oneself the wings of freedom, to pass through pain, disappointment, and consequence, and to emerge not hardened but clarified, capable still of joy. There comes a time when one must stop measuring life merely by age, by seasons past, by the calendar's silent accumulation. Years may gather around the body, but the spirit need not grow old with them. A youthful heart is not one untouched by suffering, but one that refuses to let suffering become its final language. So long as one can still be moved by light, still feel tenderness before beauty, still rise again after sorrow, then youth in its truest form remains. It is not wrinkles that age us most, but resignation. It is not time that defeats us, but the slow surrender of wonder. For this reason, one must learn not to worship fame, profit, or applause, for these belong to the outer world and can never become the foundation of inner peace. Recognition may flatter the ego, and gain may comfort the body, but neither can guarantee tranquility of soul. Many struggle all their lives to secure a little more status, a little more advantage, a little more proof that they matter. Yet when the world does not deliver what they expected, they feel betrayed by life itself. In truth, life was never unjust for refusing to obey our wishes. It is only that we often mistake desire for destiny. Perhaps the greatest blessing is not an extraordinary life, but a life lived simply, honestly, and with a quiet heart. To live well, one should have at least one true friend. Wealth may fill a house, but it cannot answer loneliness. Possessions may surround a person, yet remain incapable of understanding a single sorrow. Friendship, by contrast, is one of the rare treasures that grows more valuable with time. A kindred soul, someone with whom a few sincere words can be exchanged in moments of weariness, may become more precious than all material security. Yet such companionship is not easily found. Not everyone who walks beside us understands us, and not everyone who smiles at us wishes us well. Therefore, one must also learn to become a refuge unto oneself. When troubles arise and the heart grows turbulent, one should not run immediately into the noise of the world. Better to create within oneself a place of stillness, a quiet chamber where the mind may settle and the spirit regain its balance. It is often only in silence that one begins to see clearly again. In such moments, even the smallest flower by the roadside, unnoticed by the crowd, appears to bloom with quiet dignity and the whole world seemed softened by a beauty that had been there all along. Much suffering in life is deepened by the mind's habit of resistance. We wish things to remain when they are already passing away. We want certainty where life offers only change. We long for companionship that will never leave. Yet every person who enters our lives comes with the possibility of departure. To think generously, then, is not merely to be kind to others. It is to be gentle toward existence itself. Life becomes lighter when we stop demanding that it conform to our preferences. There will be times when one must walk alone, and solitude may at first feel like abandonment. Yet if warmth remains in one's own heart, then loneliness loses some of its cruelty. A person who knows how to comfort oneself is never entirely forsaken. There will be days when one feels weak, uncertain, almost unable to continue. On such days, one must become one's own voice of encouragement. There will be moments of irritation, disappointment, even humiliation. Yet pain must not be allowed to turn into bitterness, or else suffering will not merely visit the heart, it will settle there. One who walks alone must learn not only endurance, but self-care. Not only strength, but tenderness toward oneself. The road each person walks is, in the end, their own. However much we are advised, loved, corrected, or accompanied, no one else can take our steps for us. We may be guided, but not carried through the whole journey. That is why one must accept the responsibility of one's own path. Even when the road is difficult, one must remind oneself to continue to the end. There are obstacles in every life, but none that are entirely beyond the reach of endurance. Some can be overcome by effort, others can only be survived by patience. Every kind of labor has its dignity, just as every life conceals sorrows invisible to the eye. We do not know the full burden another person carries, just as others cannot fully see our own. So when the feet grow tired, rest. When the heart is wounded, be still. When grief becomes heavy, sit quietly and gather yourself again. But there is no need to make a spectacle of suffering. Not every wound needs an audience. Some of the deepest healing happens in the unobserved places of life, where one simply sits under the vast sky and remembers that the earth is large enough to contain all grief, if only we do not insist on carrying it alone in the mind. Much of life must indeed be walked in solitude. This truth is difficult, but it is not cruel. Parents grow old, friends move away, lovers change, children leave. Even those who once seemed inseparable from us are, in the end, fellow travelers on a road that belongs to no one forever. Some accompany us for a chapter, others for years, but no one remains in exactly the same place beside us all our lives. We come into the world alone, and one day we will leave it alone. Yet this solitude is not merely a condition of loss. It is also the ground on which inner strength is formed. One who learns to stand inwardly steady need not fear the storm. Wind and rain may drench the body, but they cannot drown a soul that has found its center. To become accustomed to aloneness is not to become cold. It is to become capable of continuing without constantly collapsing at the thought of departure. As one grows familiar with solitude, loneliness begins to lose its sharpest edges. Life is often less terrifying than the imagination makes it. Much of what we fear has not yet happened. Much of what has happened has already passed. Trust, then, that you may be stronger than you once believed. Every morning, when light returns to the world, let it also return to your spirit. Remind yourself to live that day meaningfully, not merely for others, but first for your own soul. The world itself is not always unjust. It is often the human heart that tilts the scales. Resentment can make even a peaceful day feel burdensome, while gratitude can make hardship more bearable. So do not nourish hatred. Do not cling to grievance as though it were proof of your depth. Give yourself fully to the present, and many things that once felt unbearably heavy will, in time, recede into the distance like mountains seen from far away. Life is difficult, but difficulty is not the same as defeat. Hardship does not mean the end of meaning. It often becomes the place where meaning is born. Perseverance has a language of its own, and though its answers come slowly, they come. A person who continues sincerely, even through repeated failure, acquires something deeper than success: substance. When enough years have passed and one turns back to look at the path already traveled, it becomes possible to see that even the painful chapters carried instruction, that every encounter had its season, and that many meetings, however brief, were their own kind of destiny. Human life should not be measured only by length, but by depth, by what one has understood, what one has endured, what one has given, and what one has become. Since every meeting is temporary, one should be warmer to those who remain nearby. Every day shared with another is already moving toward memory. This is why one should not be stingy with gentleness. Begin the morning with peace. Place joy, if only a little, inside the heart, and let the face carry a smile that does not deny sorrow, but refuses to surrender to it. There are moments when one must simply pause, listen inwardly, watch the trembling of leaves, and accept that what cannot remain should not be chained. There are people we cannot keep, seasons we cannot prolong, and feelings we cannot force into permanence. What must come will come. What wishes to leave will leave. This is not indifference. It is wisdom. Better than chasing every bright thing is learning to cherish what truly brings light into one's life. Work, too, should be done wholeheartedly. Not because every effort leads to visible reward, but because sincerity transforms labor into meaning. What we do with the present moment eventually becomes the memory by which we understand our lives. If one receives whatever arises with a peaceful mind and meets the shortcomings of others with tolerance, life becomes lighter, almost without effort. The heart ceases to struggle with every imperfection, and peace, though never permanent, visits more often. Among the deepest truths a person must remember is this: while one's parents are still alive, one still has a road back home. One still has a place in the world. where one may be called the old tender names that no one else can truly speak. As long as parents remain, there is still a kind of shelter that nothing else can replace. Career may be rebuilt, reputation restored, money earned again. But time with one's parents, once lost, can never be recovered. This is why love should not be postponed. Care should not be delayed. Regret is often nothing more than love that arrived too late. As long as one's parents remain, life still feels somehow protected from its final severities. Their presence keeps a certain warmth in the world. When they are gone, even familiar places grow quieter in a way that cannot be repaired. Family is not merely a social arrangement. It is often the first sanctuary of the soul. No matter how hard the world outside becomes, home is where the exhausted spirit longs to return. Yet many people only understand the value of this refuge when it begins to disappear. If one day children no longer trouble you, perhaps it is because they have grown and drifted into their own lives. If one day your parents no longer trouble you, it may be because they are no longer here. The people who still disturb your peace with their needs, their presence, their concern, may in fact be the very ones whose love sustains you. Human beings need one another more than pride admits. We are not made to live entirely untouched, and once one has chosen a dream, one must not abandon it too easily. The sorrow of failure is real, but often greater than failure is the emptiness of having no aim at all. To not know what one is living for is a loneliness far deeper than any temporary disappointment. Success and failure do not oppose each other as enemies. They accompany each other as part of the same road. No one is born finished. No worthwhile thing appears without process, patience, discipline, and the willingness to remain faithful through uncertainty. The things we long for cannot be reached by wishing alone. They ask for labor, repetition, self-command, and the courage to continue when inspiration is gone. Love also demands wisdom. What is not truly yours should never be grasped in desperation. What belongs with you in truth will not require violence of spirit to obtain. Human hearts are not trophies to be captured. If affection must be taken by force, then it was never really given. Only what comes freely can be deeply cherished. Love without honesty cannot become trust. A bond formed through possession, manipulation, or conquest will one day collapse under its own falseness. There is no enduring intimacy where sincerity is absent. To love well is not to cling harder, but to stand truthfully. Do not place too much hope in those who do not know how to treasure you. Betrayal does not become less betrayal because it is explained gently. Deceit does not become harmless because it arrives in beautiful language. One who does not value your tears cannot truly value your tenderness. Yet rather than responding with hatred, one might come to understand that selfishness, too, is part of the sorrowful inheritance of being human. Some people guard only themselves. Some hearts are too narrow to receive what is freely given. The wiser response is not endless resentment, but clarity. One can grieve without clinging. One can release without growing bitter. A spacious heart changes the shape of the world. Much of what tortures us is not the event itself, but the way the mind grips it, repeats it, kneels before it. Human relationships are never simple for long. Some people speak little and carry depth. Others speak endlessly and contain very little. Some bring warmth, others bring calculation. We should not expect special treatment, nor imagine that the world will become less complicated simply because we ourselves are sincere. Better to tend to one's own work, guard one's own kindness, cultivate one's own integrity, and let much else belong to fate. There are grievances that, once argued over, have already turned into the past. There are wounds that soften the moment one stops feeding them. There are matters that seem enormous in the heat of emotion and trivial when time has passed. Thus, when life turns against our expectations, it is wise to remind oneself, this day will pass, tomorrow will also come. Begin again. Not everything deserves a place in the heart. Some things cannot be changed no matter how fiercely we dwell upon them. Life offers no if only powerful enough to undo what has already become real. It offers instead consequences, lessons, and the freedom to respond differently. Maturity lies not in becoming cold, but in learning to meet life with a smile that is neither naive nor resentful. Sometimes wisdom means appearing a little foolish, rather than exhausting oneself in endless proving. Sometimes it means abandoning the need to calculate every advantage so that one may preserve serenity. Sometimes it means understanding another's pain enough to withhold judgment. Sometimes it means knowing one's own faults well enough to forgive the faults of others. Even the strong carry hidden fragility. Every person, however composed, hopes secretly that someone will hold an umbrella in the rain, offer comfort in humiliation, or stand near in moments of fear. Yet all of us know, at some level, that the essential burdens of life must still be borne by oneself. No one else can breathe for us, choose for us, endure inwardly for us, or become for us what only our own soul can become. This is why strength matters. Not because it is admirable in the eyes of others, but because no one else can live your life in your place. Learn, therefore, not only to cherish, but to release, not only to remember, but to forget, not only to hope, but to endure. Within each person there is a private sky. Sometimes it storms with confusion, anger, and sorrow. Sometimes it clears into stillness. Others may stand beside us, but they cannot fully enter this inward weather. Likewise, every heart contains chapters of sweetness and bitterness that remain partly unreadable even to those closest to us. This is why some tears never fall in public, and some grief cannot be translated into words. Many people move through the world with a bright smile while carrying unspeakable fatigue. Many know how to advise others with lucidity while remaining lost in their own pain. This is not hypocrisy. It is simply human limitation. We often see more clearly into the lives of others than into our own. If you have followed a road for too long without hope, perhaps it is time to change direction. If you have turned one thought over endlessly and still cannot loosen the knot in your chest, perhaps it is time to release it. If someone has remained in your life for years and still offers no sincerity, perhaps distance is wisdom, not cruelty. If a way of living brings no joy after much sincere effort, perhaps transformation is not failure, but fidelity to truth. One of our most common mistakes is to grow accustomed to another person's goodness, and then, at the first disappointment, forget everything they once gave us. We remember faults more easily than virtues, yet looking at others is often like looking into a mirror. If our own expression is harsh, the world will seem equally harsh in return. To remember another's wrong constantly is often to punish oneself with their imperfection. Better to remember the good where good has truly been given. A heart that stores goodness becomes less burdened by suspicion. Still, one must accept that no matter how good you are, not everyone will love you. No matter how honestly you live, there will be people who judge without understanding. Praise and blame travel together. Admiration and contempt often visit the same life. This is why a person must not build identity upon the mouths of others. One cannot satisfy the entire world without losing oneself in the process. Every person looks through a different window. Eyes may resemble one another, but perspective never does. Hearts may be constructed alike, yet values and perceptions diverge endlessly. Thus, right and wrong, beauty and ugliness, success and failure are often interpreted according to circumstance and position. For this reason, one should walk with confidence on one's own feet. The eagle needs no applause in order to open its wings. Wild grass does not ask permission to grow. A flower blooming in a remote valley still gives fragrance, though no one arrives to praise it. Life need not always be witnessed to be meaningful. Life is brief. Since we are already here, perhaps we should try to live beautifully. This does not mean brilliantly, impressively, or without flaw. It means living in such a way that when one looks back, one does not feel entirely estranged from oneself. Whatever regrets, blessings, weariness, or losses have filled the years, the past remains the past. Once something has gone, let it go. Only then can the heart breathe. No life is free from fracture. Yet if one has truly tried, there is no need for shame. Many truths can only be learned through one's own wounds. A wide heart makes the road broader. A narrow heart makes the world difficult wherever it goes. So remember gratitude. Do not cling so tightly to reason that you lose tenderness. Human life is little more than yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yesterday has already flowed away like water. Today is already on its way toward becoming memory. Tomorrow has not yet arrived, yet when it does, it too will pass. A year ends in what feels like a blink. A lifetime ends in what feels like another. Therefore, the art of living may be simpler than we imagine. Release yesterday, honor today, and welcome tomorrow without demanding guarantees. Life is not a race, but a journey. A race teaches us to fixate on the destination. A A journey teaches us to notice the landscape. When the heart is quiet, even ordinary scenery becomes luminous. Whatever hardship today contains, remember that only yesterday is beyond return. Tomorrow still approaches. There will always be people who speak as though they know us completely without ever having borne a single hour of our hidden pain. Let them speak. Silence is not always weakness. Often it is understanding. Those who have truly seen life no longer waste themselves on every noise made by the world. To speak ill of others does not elevate one's character. It only reveals its limits. If one cannot walk peacefully beside another, it is often better to part quietly than to injure both souls with prolonged hostility. The peace we receive from life is deeply tied to the peace we offer to others. Those who treat the world with thorns often wonder why their own hands keep bleeding. Those who move with gentleness usually discover that gentleness returns to them, if not from the same people, then from life itself. Not everything becomes good simply because it aligns with our desires. The sun does not fail to rise because we are in sorrow. The moon does not refuse to set because we feel misunderstood. Closing one's eyes does not turn the world dark. If a person truly wants to grow, they seek a way. If not, they cultivate excuses. Happiness has less to do with owning more than with finding what is rightly suited to one's nature. Happiness is not performance. It is not a display for others. It is a quiet, felt agreement between the soul and the life it inhabits. Love is for connection, not for experiment. Family is for reverence, not demand. Friendship is for sharing, not comparison. Trust is for peace, not pressure. Health, calm, and integrity outweigh many glittering things the world calls success. Choose your work well, and it may give meaning to your days. Choose your companions well, and they may shape your character. Choose your environment wisely, and it may steady your spirit. Choose a gentle way of living, and peace will visit more often. Yet even then, exhaustion will come. Even the strongest become tired. Even the most loving are sometimes wounded. Even the most diligent become overwhelmed. This is not failure. It is simply life in its fullness. Bitterness and sweetness travel together. Human warmth and coldness alternate. To see this clearly is not to become hopeless, but to lay things down more lightly. There is an old wisdom that says, when water is too clear, there are no fish. When a person is too harsh in judgment, there are no friends. If one must win every argument with family, one may lose the family itself. If one must settle every score with the beloved, affection begins to wither. If one must defeat every friend, then friendship has already been defeated. In arguments, people often think they are protecting truth, while what they truly wound is tenderness. Time can reveal what stubbornness cannot. Compassion can heal what logic alone never will. In the end, living is a long process of self-reflection. One should not demand that everyone understand. One should not expect everything to obey desire. Life has no single fixed design. It asks only for sincerity, clarity, and a heart that remains capable of warmth. When worries come, make room also for small joys. When work becomes heavy, do not lose all your youth to duty. When fatigue arrives, remember to rest. If you still know what matters to you, if you still remember where your conscience points, then even when the way is difficult, you are not truly lost. A person may have little money, but should not let ambition become poor. One may be plain in appearance, but must not let the heart become ugly. One may be small in build, but should never be petty in spirit. One may be physically weak, but should not become weak in courage. One may be slow in action, but should not allow the mind to become clouded. One may be intelligent, but should never become arrogant enough to imagine everyone else a fool. One may live simply, but should not become a servant of greed. One may be tolerant, but should still preserve dignity and principle. To live well is not to be perfect. It is to remain inwardly upright. And so perhaps life asks less of us than we fear, and more of us than we first understand. It does not ask that we never suffer. It does not promise that we will always be understood, rewarded, accompanied, or protected from loss. Instead, it asks something quieter and more difficult. It asks that we keep walking. It asks that we remain gentle without becoming weak, strong without becoming hard, wise without becoming cold. It asks that we love our parents while there is still time, treasure those who stand beside us while they are still near, release what does not belong to us, and protect what is essential within us. It asks that we learn when to hold on and when to let go, when to speak and when to be silent, when to strive and when to accept. In the final measure, a meaningful life may not be one filled with triumph, recognition, or perfect certainty. It may simply be a life in which the heart remains awake. A life in which one has suffered, yet not become cruel. Loved, yet not become possessive. Lost, yet not become empty. Walked alone, yet not ceased to offer warmth to others. To live in this way is already a quiet victory. For when all the noise of the world fades, what remains is not how loudly we were praised, nor how fiercely we competed, but whether we learned to live with sincerity, to endure with grace, and to return again and again to kindness. That perhaps is enough. That perhaps is peace.